Bam. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Tuesday night leadership communication call. I am Tuan Nguyen, John Maxwell Team Certified speaker, coach, and trainer, and I'm also the founder of Movement21 Empowerment Group. Just want to start off by just sharing with you where I come from with the John Maxwell team. As you guys might know, and maybe you do know, John Maxwell is by far the #1 leadership guru in the world. He's written over 100 books. He's had 40 years experience in leadership, communication, and personal growth. You know, I realized in the beginning when I wanted to become a better leader that I had to increase my value. I mean, I wanted to become a person of value and I wanted to be a great leader. And I realized that the only way I could become more valuable to this world is that I would have to become a person of value. And I realized before I could lead my own business, lead my own family, and not only that, lead myself, I would have to increase my leadership and my communication. And so that was my passion behind leadership, communication, speaking, coaching, and trainer. That's what I do now full time. I have a nonprofit and I'm also speaking, coaching, and training. And so I'm delighted to be on the call today. And I thank you for Evelyn for allowing me the platform just to bring some solid content. And so I welcome you, Ricky and Evelyn, for being on the call today. You guys are what we call uncommon people, right? Uncommon people. Why? Because you guys made it intentional to show up. You know, we live in a society right now where it's full of entertainment, where we would literally pay for someone to entertain us. But let me remind you of something. There's no shortcuts in life. And while people are paying for entertainment, how many people are showing up for personal growth and development? How many people are investing in material or resources or content that would add value to their lives and also empower them, but at the same time, increase their influence? Think about that for a second. I speak about borrowed influence quite often. Why? Because there's always someone that I need to connect with to take me to the next level. There's always someone I need to connect with to help me grow into the next level. Who are those people that are in my proximity that I need to meet? There's always somebody. There's always somebody that can help us go higher. And so today our lesson is called the communication shift. This by far is one of my greatest lessons that I love teaching from. And I'll tell you why. Because in the beginning, my leadership was all based on assumption. And you know what happens when we lead by assumptions, right? We make a ASS out of ourselves. Notice I didn't say that on the camera, but I spelled it out. How many of you guys have experienced that, where you had led by assumptions and then you ended up making yourself look like a, right? I'm talking to somebody because I know I have.
I was just having this discussion with my wife yesterday and how much I hate assumptions.
Did she hear you? Did she hear me right now?
I hope so.
Well, hello there.
Ash, come here. Come here. Come
Show
here.
your wifey.
Say hello to Tuan and Evelyn.
Hello.
Hey,
You're
hey,
so
how are you
pretty.
doing?
Oh, thank you, Evelyn. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
This is wifey.
Hi, Miss Wifey.
Hi.
So glad to meet you.
You too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was good. I'm glad someone got to hear our teaching call outside of the video itself. I knew we were going to connect to a broader audience tonight.
She's listening. She just got off work, so we're kind of letting her relax and that kind of thing.
Well, keep on listening, Miss Wife, because you're going to hear some pretty solid and raw content, and it's going to leave you like, I just never thought about that. I really did.
You got it.
All right. And I promise I'm going to take it easy. I won't refer by names or make mention of anyone. I'll just refer to myself. And we'll go with that. But like I said, Ricky, Evelyn, early in my leadership, I always led by assumption. And what I mean by that is I always thought that whatever I had to say was more important than what you had to say. And I realized I had my communication all wrong. And in the beginning, you know what? It was very hard for me to simply shift from the model of being directive into being a connector. And that by far has been the biggest change in my life. And now I don't lead by assumptions. I strategically lead by asking questions now more than anything. And I'm going to tell you one of my favorite stories. This story I heard literally shifted the foundation right here. In the beginning, my mentor, John Maxwell, before he opened up the company, he hired a man named Bob Bill to come in to train his leaders. And in the first day he came in, Bob spent all day with John Maxwell. And guess what he did? He spent the whole day with John asking questions. Not just one question, but questions. Question after question. Question after question. Question after question. And John was like, okay, you've asked me about 500 questions. No more questions. And John got so frustrated because Bob literally kept on asking questions. And he said, hey, Bob, why am I paying you so much money to ask me questions? And I'll never forget what Bob told John. He said, John, I ask you questions because I have to find you before I can ever lead you. I have to find you. I have to find you before I can lead you. And I'll never forget that question and that story because it changed how I saw leadership. It literally changed me, Here's what I want you to know. When we lead by assumptions, we are leading by being directing. And what is being directing? Directing is when I am being authoritative. I'm telling you what you need to do instead of asking you what you should be doing. And let me tell you something. There is a big difference when you lead by asking questions. One of the most powerful testaments of leadership, and I'm going to go biblical for a second. I'm not trying to impose faith or nothing here, but I want to speak about Jesus' model of leadership. In the New Testament, Jesus was asked 183 questions from the religious leaders. 183 questions that were asked of him. Do you know how many questions he asked? He asked over 300 questions in the New Testament. And I'm going somewhere with this. You know how many questions he answered? Only 3. Only 3 questions he answered extensively. And not only that, most of the questions that he answered were backed up with another question. And why do you think he did that? Why do you think he did that? See, it's one thing for you to come teach me something, Ricky. It's one thing for you to teach me something, Evelyn. It's another thing for you to draw something out of me. Are you telling people what they need to do? Or are you drawing something out of them? Think about that. Think about how powerful that is when you can literally draw someone's potential out. The power in having someone verbalize an answer is they begin to own that thing. I want to speak a little bit about borrowed belief. What is borrowed belief? Borrowed belief is basically saying, while you're in my presence, I'm believing what you're saying, but it's not internalized. Think about how many people in your group right now are riding on borrowed belief. Maybe they're riding on your borrowed belief about them. But what happens when you're taken out of the picture? Do they really believe what you've been saying? It's something powerful when you can get someone to own their answer. Not only does it breed confidence, but they own it and it becomes theirs. It goes from borrowed belief to eternal belief. And that's where that's how you draw them, is by asking these questions. One of my favorite quotes was this: "You cannot travel without, Ricky, until you first travel within." You cannot travel without until you first travel within. How does that correlate? Hey, borrowed beliefs can only take you so far until you actually start believing in yourself. So as a leader of my group, am I a director or am I a connector? Directing is when I am authoritative. Connecting when I am collaborative. Directing is when I'm talking. Connecting is when I'm listening. Directing is when I am enlisting people to do something. And connecting is when I am empowering you. Are you enlisting or are you empowering your people? I once heard a man say that leadership is power, but true leadership is empowerment. What are you operating from? A position of power or empowerment? There's a big difference, my friends. Let's move on a little bit more. Being directing is working from top down, and connecting is working side by side. Are you working top down or are you working side by side? Connecting, once again, is talking. Directing is when you're telling people, but connecting is when you're understanding people. Are you understanding where your people are at? I want you to, you don't even have to write this down because I want you to memorize it. Something that I always tell people when I'm in the public speaking arena is, hey, the audience is asking themselves 3 questions when you get up there. Number 1, can this person help me? Number 2, can he be trusted? And last, does Ricky really care about me?
I like it.
Listen, 3 questions you have to fulfill in being able to connect as a speaker and a leader. Number 1, I have to fulfill this. Can I be trusted not only as a leader, but as a speaker? Can I trust you to speak over into my life? Or are you trying to sell me something? People are not trying to buy anything. They're trying to connect. And so many people now in our days are so quick to sell something without ever making a connection. And you might be able to sell something, but we're talking about customer loyalty. Are you content with selling me a one-time product and that's it? Or do you want to build me as a potential loyal customer for life? That's what you got to ask yourself. Because let me remind you, in the communication shift, connecting requires energy. Who has to go first? The customer is not coming first. You got to go first. And you got to know this. You got to be able to recognize this. What's going to set you apart in building a following of loyal customers? It's the power of connection. It's the power of connecting to my audience in a different way that no one else is. It's number 1, showing that, hey, you can trust me. You can trust me. My name is Rick Rivera. You can trust me. My name is Evelyn. And I can help you. I can help you. And last, I do care. People don't care about how much you know, even if it's about your product, until they know that you actually care about them. Did you hear that? might be able to sell you a product one time because you're making a great sales pitch, but what's going to keep me from coming back? Do you got to keep on lowering the price because you got another competitor that has a better price? Or am I going to come back to you because of the connection that I have? Think about when you go into a restaurant and you have that great waiter that just gives you that VIP service that just makes you feel at home. You know, you're that VIP. You're that very important person. And it doesn't even matter how great the food is. It's the service and the VIP connection that makes you want to tip them even more.
Yeah.
I got something on that, Twan.
Come on.
Years in the restaurant industry. When I started out, it's actually how I met wifey.
Oh, wow. Come on.
And so when I started out, I created the 7 Principles board.
Okay.
And in that 7 Principles board, I had motivation and inspiration.
Right.
But you already said it in this segment. People don't care what you know, or people don't care what you know until you prove how much you care on it. And when I went into an Italian restaurant, a very popular Italian restaurant, and started managing there, they were holding a 53% customer service.
Wow.
And I came in, and in 3 months, we took the top spot for customer service in our region.
Right.
For one fact, and it's been mentioned, and I lost it for a long time. I came in, I asked what that team needed, I asked how I could present it to them, and I said, give me the next month to prove it to you.
Wow.
And after that, we had complete loyalty. And one of the last things they said to me when I left that job was, our next manager has some big shoes to fill.
Wow. That's awesome.
I have something to say too.
Go ahead, Evan.
We are putting up my online shop.
Right.
And I already submitted I made my logo and I submitted my tagline.
Okay.
And you know my tagline is?
What is that?
All time caring for you.
Oh, that's lovely right there. All time caring for you.
I was not mistaken.
Right. And so that spoke volumes to you right now and what we were talking about, the caring aspect, right? Right. So let me share another example with you. You notice what we did yesterday in just going through a brief question on personality assessments, right? I was on a call just recently and I was dealing with a person that's very dominant. And so the D-type personality is very directive, right? They're very commanding, very demanding, very direct, very decisive. They make quick decisions and they disregard any other authority. And the reason why is they love being in charge. Their greatest fear is someone taking an advantage of them. And a lot of us don't know how to deal with D-type personalities because they kind of come off very rude and sometimes candid. They're blunt. They don't really care about giving you affirmation or encouraging you. They're more like the person that basically says, hey, you know what? Why don't we go eat? And as a matter of fact, here, let me drive your car. You know, and that's the type of personality they have in being a leader. And so most of those people are great leaders. They're not great connectors. They're great leaders, but they're not great connectors. And I've learned that even with my leadership, I learned that connecting is all about increasing your influence. I might be able to get things done, but I need to learn how to leverage my connecting so that I can, number one, identify and relate with my customer. Okay? So ask yourself this right now. How am I connecting so I can have, so I can identify and relate with my customers so I can gain their influence? What kind of discovery questions or what kind of polling questions can I throw out there? Because like I told Ricky earlier, before we started the call, a lot of people don't ask questions. Because they just don't want to feel stupid. And so they think that hope is a strategy. I'm hoping that maybe the answer will just fly across my radar and I'll be able to grab it and I'll learn from it. But it doesn't always happen like that. And here's the thing. When a leader leads by assumption and the people are leading by assumption too, here's what happens is there's lack of clarity in where we're going. And you know why it's so important, Evelyn? And we speak about this a lot too, is number one, if I'm not connecting by asking questions, number one, my people don't know what to expect from me. And at the same time, I'm not casting a vision on what I'm expecting from you. And that's got to be the first priority right there in growing your business is number one, am I casting a clear vision on where we are going? Am I connecting enough where we can go from point A to point B without you guys getting lost? I want to talk about common ground, all right? So oftentimes we talk about leading by assumptions, right? Leading by assumptions is by far the mother of all messes in communication. I'm pretty sure you've dealt with a lot of miscommunication in your marriage, Ricky. And I think a lot of us have dealt with all kind of miscommunication. But guess what? We can grow from it. But we have to learn how to shift. The communication shift is by far one of the hardest things that we have to do. Number one, we have to first identify that, hey, I need to shift my communication from being authoritative to being a connector. I need to stop leading by assumptions. I need to lead by asking questions. I need to learn how to be more strategic in my question asking too, by specifying certain things, having open-ended questions, maybe sometimes giving wifey a multiple choice in case she has a hard time making decisions. But you see what happens is we have to learn how to be creative in giving our people content to choose from. Because you have people that are indecisive. You have people that don't ask questions. You have people that you have to reach out and connect to. And so that all takes us down a place where we have to really understand, okay, I need to shift my communication. How do I connect better? How do I connect better? All right. So number one, we have to find common ground. I'm going to give you guys 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps or seven keys in finding common ground. Number one, I have to have humility. You don't have to write this down. Just listen to me. Humility. I have to have humility in finding common ground in being a connector versus being a director. You have to tell people that you need them. Don't you need your customers? When was the last time you told your customers, hey, I need you guys? Or when was the last time you told wifey that you need her? Huh?
Yesterday. In a gratitude mindset.
Right. That's good. And you see, that was a trick question. I was trying to throw him out under the bus to see if he had the right answer.
My friend is trying to join.
Okay.
I sent the link.
Okay. And so while we're waiting, we'll just kind of keep on pressing through.
Yeah, we'll just continue.
Yeah. So remember, let people know that you need them. Do you know how I'm telling you, do you know how good that is to have someone come up to you and say, hey, Ricky, bro, man, I need you, bro. I'm counting on you, man. You're the man for this project right here. You know what that does when you tell people you need them? You know, it's funny because there was a time in my life where in the beginning of my leadership, I didn't need nobody. I thought that you needed me. And so what I correlate that to was I had Superman syndrome, right? I thought that everybody needed me as a leader. So I was so quick to draw the S on my chest and put on this cape and come to the rescue and bam, you're healed. Be whole again. and I'll save the day. And that was my approach. My approach was, oh, you guys need me. I don't need you. And then I realized something. I realized when my dream became too big, I had one or two options. Number one, I would either get overwhelmed and quit, or I would get help. And that's when I realized I have to get help. Because I'm not going to give up on my dream, but I got to get help. And so I had to develop humility in lowering myself down and saying, you know what? I need some people in my life. I can't do this on my own. But I got to connect. I got to reach out. I got to let people know that I need you. I got to let Evelyn know, hey, I need you. I got to let you know, Ricky, that I need you on my team. Let people know that you need them. Second key, curiosity. We've been speaking about this all day. You have to have questions being asked daily. The law of curiosity, constantly be asking people questions. People love to talk if you would just give them room to answer some questions. Even the quietest introverts will talk if you ask them questions. But remember, you got to ask them questions, all right? Number 3, we talked about this earlier. Connecting requires effort. It involves energy. Who goes first? You got to go first. The leader has to always go first and make the first move in connecting. Never wait for the other person. Always be the first to help. You know what people always remember is the person that always comes to the rescue in the beginning. They do. When you're the first person to always help, they'll always remember you. I remember what Zig Ziglar says, and I find this to be true. He says, hey, in order to get what you want in life, help as many people get what they want. And you know why? Because in the time of crisis, those people that you helped will be the first ones to help you out. But maybe you're not helping enough people. All right? So we got to go out of our way. Are we going out of our way to connect with our audience? Are we personalizing our message to them? You know, not only that, are we building a team that can actually deliver the same message? Remember, if you expect to grow your organization, you have to grow your leaders from within. Because once your group gets too big, you're going to have to delegate and empower. You don't have the manpower on your own to connect with everyone. And that's how you build a team. Next, I want to speak about trustworthy. Are you someone that people can count on? I mentioned the word accountability in one of my previous videos, right? So what is accountability? Accountability is, hey, having the ability to count on me when and where it counts. Are you accountable? Not accountable. Are you countable, Ricky? Meaning that, can I count on you, Ricky, when and where it counts? Can you count on wifey when and where it counts? When it matters, can I count on you? Evelyn, can I count on you? Are you someone that people can count on? All right. Let's talk about generosity. Don't worry about what the harvest looks like. In learning to connect, just keep on sowing the seeds. The harvest will come. It's law. It's spiritual law. What you sow is what you will reap. A lot of times we focus so much on the harvest, we forget to go out and sow the seeds. I don't know where you're at in your business right now, but my encouragement to you today is to continue to sow seeds. Not just any seeds, but the right seeds. And I believe as long as you're building relationships, you're headed on the right track. But let me remind you of this very important aspect in building relationships. I believe that building relationships is the number one key in building your business, but never build relationships without an agenda. You're wasting your time. Building relationships is the number one key in building your brand and your business. Let me remind you, though, to be very cautious of building relationships without an agenda. You're wasting your time. Always have the end in mind. Always have the end in mind. Why am I building a relationship with this individual right here? Are we just talking a bunch of nonsense, or are we actually going somewhere? How many times have we been in a conversation where we wasted 20 to 30 minutes and no action plan? That's how you become strategic in connecting with people of influence, because you realize, hey, guess what? You might be a good friend of mine, but you're not going to help me get me any closer towards my dreams. You know how precious our time is right now? We're not getting any older. I wish I was. I wish I was getting younger, but time is precious right now in building ourselves and building our business. Always build relationships with the end in mind. Listening. One of my favorite quotes by Andy Stanley says this: when a leader stops listening, he'll find himself surrounded by a bunch of people that have nothing to say. Are you surrounded by a bunch of people that have nothing to say because you're not listening anymore? Maybe this is you and wifey, Ricky. Hey, I'm
not going to say anything there. I'll get in trouble.
Right. I'm sure she's enjoying this right now.
Ash, would you like to say anything?
I'm waiting for you to comment. I want to hear what you have to say.
Ooh, wow.
It's really funny. A lot of the conversations that we're bringing up, I've actually talked with wifey about. And one of wifey's things is that she doesn't always hear everything.
Right.
And assumes that she got the gist of the conversation.
Okay.
I still love her, though. And we're still working through it.
Yes,
yeah. Well, that's good. And at least you guys are aware of it.
And I'm sure I'm just as guilty.
I'm sure we all are in one form or another. I know I'm guilty of that.
Yep.
I know Evelyn has been too. So the main thing is just being aware of it. And so I've actually taken that quote and added my own twist. So before I said that when a leader stops listening, he'll find himself being surrounded by a bunch of people that have nothing to say. Why is that? Well, it's simple, because whatever I have to say doesn't matter to you anyway. So then what happens is when your people get shot down because you won't listen, they'll get so frustrated that they'll stop talking. And what happens? They'll hold that in. They'll get frustrated. And so that's what happens. Go ahead, Evelyn.
How about if you keep on questioning and nobody is answering?
You're talking about in your group? I mean, how are you asking the question?
Like, let's say in the group, my former group, I kept on questioning. I kept on leaving questions because I wanted to know what they wanted to learn.
Right.
And nobody was answering. It means that they're not interested.
Do you think you're still struggling with that same concept right now?
No.
So now they're answering questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what changed? What was the difference between now and then?
I guess it's the culture.
Right.
Because before, maybe all the members have the same culture. And now that they can see that some of the people are active and they were motivated also to join the conversation.
Right. And so I'll share a little bit of insight on what I believe is very effective. Number one is you always got to look at your top 20. What I mean by that is in every single organization, there's a top 20% of people that can do things that other people can't do. And a lot of times what we do is we focus so much on the bottom 80%, but if we focus on the top 20, and I'm speaking about even priorities too, in order to get 80% of your production, you have to focus on your top 20 priorities. Think about that right now. If I were to ask you, Ricky and Evelyn, right now, what is your top 20 people in your organization right now? And this could be your top 20% of loyal customers that bring in most of your income. Look at where your time is invested in right now. Am I invested in the top 20% of my priorities, or am I down here at the bottom 80%? Messing around with all these little minor goals. And here's what happens. A lot of times in business, we focus on hitting goals. And so we leave the important things neglected. We neglect the important things and we focus on finishing all these little minor things that really don't produce anything. And at the end of the day, I can check off a list, but the main thing that's going to produce my income and grow my business is left neglected because I'm not prioritizing. And you know what? I have that problem sometimes because I end up with a lot of conversation. A lot of people want to talk to me. And so I find myself in different coaching calls. And sometimes I find myself, man, I just wasted an hour talking about nothing because of the lack of prioritization in my life. And not only that, here I'll give you another example. Sometimes we're so invested with the people that are not going to do anything, when we should be investing in the top 20% of people that can do something. There's going to be a lot. Let me be honest. There's going to be a lot of people that come into your life that are going to suck the life out of you. They're going to suck the life out of you. They're going to draw all your energy out of your business. And in the midst of you trying to connect with them, they're going to waste your time. So how do you deal with that? And I'm asking you because I want to open up the queue right now because of that. And I want to share this last point with you guys in connecting, okay, before we just kind of go over some questions, is number 1 or number 7, encouragement. Everybody loves to be encouraged. Everybody loves encouragement. Everybody loves to be affirmed, and everybody loves to hear those words, hey, Evelyn, you're doing such a great job. Ricky, you're doing such a great job. Why do you think Facebook Live challenges were so effective? Because we were supporting each other every step of the way. Even if we were just getting on a replay, and man, sometimes I probably only watched like 30 seconds of certain videos, and I just said, hey, great job. But it did the job.
Even just a hashtag replay.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, someone's watching, someone cared.
Someone's watching, someone's taking time out to put a heart or a like just to say, hey, man, keep on pushing. They don't even have to watch the video. They just commented. And that's all I needed. It's, to some people, affirmation is like oxygen. I once heard a story where John was asking his father, which was a pastor, and he asked his dad, he said, Dad, how do you know when someone needs encouragement? He says, that's easy, son, as long as they're still breathing. And then he said, But if they're not breathing, I don't suggest that you waste your time. But I find that to be true because people need oxygen. When was the last time you actually reached out and sent somebody affirmation or encouragement? I'm talking about your top 20. I'm talking about your top 20%. And so we roughly got about 10 minutes left before I got to jump off the call. Let's just open up the floor for Q&A and really kind of discuss on the topic today on how do I shift my communication from directing to connecting? What is the great question that's not being asked in my organization? What's the great question that I'm not asking myself? This is the time to really evaluate before we can actually make the right adjustments. What does my scoreboard look like right now in my business? So let's talk.
Relating to the business, a lot of what we've discussed, actually I sent a text message to one of my customers this morning.
Right.
And just said, hey, I just wanted to follow up, see how everything was going, see if I could answer anything for you, let you know I'm always here and I'm always available for you.
Right.
And they sent back, it was CBD pet drops. His dog's getting older, he's got pains, and the dog had seizures. So he came back and he said, I've only used it a couple of days, Ricky, but she's doing better. Her pains are going away. She's been more lively. She hasn't had the anxiety. And, we connected over talking about our dogs for a couple of minutes.
Right.
But it was literally just reaching out and saying, hey, how is everything? Did what I tell you work for you? And so we made a connection from there. And, by the end of it, it ended with, thank you, sir, for bringing this.
Right.
On it. So, and through this video, you guys know, I lost a lot of that for a long time. And when I started out in the restaurant, that was the whole goal, was to connect with my team, to help them build, to empower them, to make them better. And, as the years gone through, as I've had the assumption bosses
Right.
and everything, I've been beat down and I fell into that way of life. And over the last 10 months, I've had that reflection. Over the last now 43 days of starting this online business, I've had that remembrance and regained that feeling of connection. And you guys are helping to remind me, hey, you ASS, why don't you ask questions more like you used to?
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's definitely good stuff right there. I think, and so that's why that's the value of mentorship, is a lot of times, since we're in the box, we can't see what the label says. You're in the picture frame, but you can't see what it looks like on the other side of you. That's one of the greatest questions that was asked to me was, Twan, do you know what it feels like to be on the other side of you? And that was kind of a harsh reality to really think about that. And I was like, ooh, I think I need a lot of work there. I need some work. And I think we all do. But that's that critical evaluation where we sit back and we be like, man, how do people actually perceive me in my leadership right now? I mean, that's that self-assessment. How do people see you as a leader, as a communicator, as a connector? Am I approachable? Are you someone that I would come ask questions from? What are you the expert at where people would want to connect to you? I mean, you can't be an expert in everything.
That's true. That is very true.
And I think what happens is we try to be an expert in everything, and then it just doesn't work out. So like even when I talk with Evelyn, number one, I'm not into affiliate marketing. I don't know nothing about that. I'm not into digital marketing. I don't know nothing about that. I'm not a network marketer. I'm a speaker, coach, and trainer that is geared towards leadership and communication. And I'm not going to step out of that lane, because I want people to come ask me questions on leadership, personal growth, and communication. Nothing more, nothing less. What are people asking you? Can you say that you're the expert in online business? Or can you say that I'm the expert in CBD?
Not fully, but I'm pretty well educated now.
Right.
Yeah, but communication skills is very important.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say in there is that, in my group through CBD, as I'm learning, I'm trying to teach as well. From that, those questions that I've talked about on the backside that people don't want to post on the page, which is why I post the fun facts, because if someone's asking me on the backside, chances are someone wants to know on the front side.
Right. Okay.
So, those questions are coming in, and, a good friend of mine from years and years and years ago, a horse jockey,
right,
contacted me and said, "Hey, can this CBD help with my arthritis?" And I said, "Well, arthritis is nothing but an inflammatory, so CBD being the anti-inflammatory agent that it is, I'll bet it helps you." He got it. He took it the first day and sent me a text, and I asked if I could post it up on the page. It's on the page, and he literally said, "Man, this stuff is the SHIT."
Right.
So, a connection there. And then I connected and put something up about arthritis just to give a little more facts to the group.
Awesome. That's good right there. I don't know if you guys remember me telling, I think I said this in a live video before, you have to become an expert in being you before you can be an expert in building your business.
Yes.
You remember me saying that?
Yes.
And that just kind of naturally came out, but everything begins with you. This is one of my new favorite sayings now, whether it be in the vision, or whether it be in business or just in personal development, is number one, vision cultivates authenticity, and authenticity will breed confidence. Think about that model in your business right now. Number one, do I have a clear vision on where I'm trying to take everybody, on where I'm growing my business? Number one, is it cultivating authenticity where I can truly function in being the real me? Meaning that my story is unique, I've redefined it, or I've defined it. Either or. Maybe you need to redefine your message or redefine your story. But whatever it is, either you're defining it or you're redefining it. What do I need to do to craft my message and leverage my authenticity versus everybody else? And what I'm saying is, people are looking to be impacted by a story. They're looking to be impacted by a story. When they think about Ricky and CBD, what's that one word that they are remembered by? When they think about Evelyn, what's that one word that they remember or describes her? And you need to learn how to leverage that. What do people know Ricky by? Is it just CBD? Is there something unique in the story? Hey, man,
On that, Twan, you mentioned that, and I put a post up on my story on Facebook that said, "If I was ever toxic in your life, I apologize, and I am working to become a better person."
Right.
And I had some people from past restaurants reach out,
Right.
and they just said, you helped me a lot, my friend, you know, or you helped me get away from this and gave me something better.
Right.
And that's ultimately the goal of what I want to be remembered for. Not CBD, not for restaurants, as someone that gave value to someone else.
Right. So do you think you have crafted that message clearly yet?
Currently in the business, no. A lot of people, you know, it's going to create a consistency. And that's part of the reason that I post up a video there every morning, tell everyone good morning, and, you know, hey, this is what's going to go. This is how I'm going to shoot for this.
Right.
Today, you guys have a choice to make. The choice is yours. But should you take that choice, I'm going to encourage you 10,000% to help you grow.
Right. Okay. 10,000%. That's a lot of percentage there, my buddy. Yeah.
There's a lot of encouragement needed.
That's a lot of encouragement right there. So I probably got about maybe like 5 more minutes. I got to jump off the call. Evelyn, what do you got? You got any feedback? You got any questions? You want to talk about something, some ideas?
Maybe this recorded one will just be posted and they can just ask their questions.
Yeah. And so I'll upload this video after we're done, and we'll just post it up. You know, it's just really just creating some content and just adding more structure to the online business support group.
And thank you so much for the beautiful contents that you're always giving. And Rick, thank you so much for always pushing everyone there and canceling their bad days.
Canceling the bad days, CBD.
Evelyn, I want to tell you something. When I think of you and the words to relate to you, there's 2 that come to mind, and that's supportive and caring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Basically, the mom of the online supporter start group.
Wow.
What they need.
I love that.
Someone
I'm
that
trying
cares.
my best.
The mom of the online support group. And so
at Scavengers, Avengers, I'm the grandma.
yeah, okay, the grandma of online support.
Either way, you are supportive and caring, and that's what they need right now.
Yeah. And I really believe with the consistency that you're driving, people will connect to you on that. I'll jump on the bandwagon, and I like referring to her as the Mother Teresa of online business starter support group. You know,
Not
because,
really.
you know,
I'm just trying my best.
Yeah, that's what you. That's what you remind me of. So that's great. That's great. And that you saw how that was a great connector right there, Ricky. I saw what you were doing. You were modeling connecting before we actually closed the call, in case someone watched.
It wasn't intentional, I promise. But I do love connecting.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you see, Evelyn, that connecting is a skill that you actually can develop.
Yes.
But for most of us, we don't invest in learning how to connect and communication. And so oftentimes that kind of just leaves us with having a bunch of information, but not having no way to actually articulate it or actually deliver it. You know?
That is why I really consider this one of the subjects in online business.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah. So I got to jump off the call, man. I really enjoyed having you guys.
They should master.
The what? What was that, Evelyn?
I said that's one of the major subjects in online business that everyone should master.
Right. Absolutely. You know, I mean, communication, connecting. How can I come up with a nice tagline? How do I be real concise, you know, in delivering a message? How do I bring across my points and just hit, and then bam, come with an action plan? You know, how do I present my product? And here's another thing too in learning how to connect. Number one, in the beginning, it's just like this. This right here is Tuan Nguyen's vitamin water bottle, right? So yeah, that's great. And so in the beginning, this is my featured product. It doesn't matter how great I think this is until I can translate this as my featured product into this becoming a benefit for you. No one cares. No one cares. I mean, this is a great product in your eyes. What does that have to do with me? And if you can't translate this featured benefit, no matter how great it is, into this being beneficial for you, Evelyn, because, hey, this right here, you know what this is going to do? No, what does it do?
It will lengthen my life.
You know? Yeah. So you see how important communication is number one, I have to realize in order to sell my product, I need to learn how to communicate. How does this become a benefit to you? And if I can't make that connection through my communication skills, at the end of the day, all I'm going to have is a featured product that can't sell. How does it benefit me?
Yeah.
You know?
If one really needs to be in online business or any kind of business, he or she should be a good communicator.
Right.
Yeah. Effective, not only good.
Yes.
It should be an effective communicator.
Right. Yes, I believe it. I believe in communication. But hey, I got to jump off the call right now. I really was blessed to have you guys on. Ricky, hey, blessings to you and wifey. I hope you enjoyed the call, wifey.
Yeah, nice meeting, wifey.
I went to the bathroom.
Okay. Yeah.
Guys, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for everything, for just bringing us the content.
And thank you too for tuning in.
Yeah. So Ricky, I'll send you a copy of this and it has the answers on there. So you can kind of just go through it.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll send it to you too, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. You guys be blessed.
I'll see you on some videos later.
Thank you.
All right.